Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how to make a tailor collar in 9 easy steps, and then we'll do the verification for the fall of the collar. So the first thing you have to do is to trace your bodice and make sure you have enough space all around to do your collar development. Then you're going to trace the overlap parallel to your center front. For my example, I'll do 2.5, and this is a measurement according to the size of your butt. Okay, so the second step is going to be to decide the breaking point, and that's going to be marked on the overlap line. It's where your collar is finishing. So I'm going to place it just a little below the apex level. The third step is going to be right here at the neck level, neck and shoulder level, is going to be to indicate the width of the collar at the neck, or the stand collar measurement. So I want you to elongate the shoulder and just put a dot at the measurement you want for your stand collar to be. So the fourth step is going to be to trace the fold line, and to do so you're going to need to measure the neckline on your back bodice. So for mine I have an 8.2, so I'm going to start with 8.2 on my ruler, and I'm going to place this measurement right on the stand collar point, and I'm going to touch with the other hand of my ruler, I'm going to touch my point number 2, the breaking point. Then you could trace. So step 5 is going to be to trace the real back neck measurement. So we're going to again take the 8.2 on my ruler, and I'm going to place it from the original neckline of the front. So 8.2, and I hold the ruler parallel to my fold line. Number 6 is going to be to trace the center back of the collar. So to do so, you're going to place your ruler 90 degrees from the back neckline and trace continuous line. Number 7 is going to be to trace the shape of your collar, so the lapel on the bodice. So from the shoulder to the breaking point. So since we're doing a tailor collar, we're going to need an extra line to be able to separate the collar and the lapel. So it's usually a continuous line from the lapel part that goes all the way to the fold line. So part of the number 7 is to engrave the fold line, to fold it, and then we'll report the lapel with the tracing wheel. So now you could see the mirror of my lapel and my collar, and if you notice, I did indicate the shoulder area to get it on the other side, so I know exactly what belongs to the front and what belongs to the back. My step number 8 will be to trace 90 degrees from the center back, touching that shoulder point. Okay, so for the tailor collar we have an extra step, that is the number 9, and what we have to do for number 9 is elongate the lapel line and connect it with the neck and shoulder point. So that's the little extra step. Now let's start the verification. So verification is done in 3 points. The A is the width of the collar at the shoulder level, 9 cm. This is A. Width of the collar at the center back, this is B, 9.2, and the fall of the collar on the back. This is C. So now that we took the measurement on the back part of the collar, we're going to report them on the back bodice. So I will start with the width of the collar at the shoulder, so 9 centimeter, and I'm going to place already twice the stand collar measurement towards the neck. My stand collar was 2.5, so I'm placing 5 towards the neck, and I'm going to indicate my 9 centimeter. I'm moving on the center back. I'll take my B, this is A. I'll take my B, 9.2. I'm going to place again twice the stand collar towards the neck, so 5 cm, and I place 9.2. This is my B. The C is going to be the difference between the A and B. So I have here 12.3. This is my C. So I'm going to take this measurement minus what I found on my plan, so minus 8.5, and the difference I'll use it to open my back collar. Okay, so we found a difference of 3.8, so we're going to do 4 opening for the back part of the collar. I already traced the back part of the collar on another paper, and I'm going to mark 4 lines for the cutting. So now you could see I traced my 4 lines, and they're not really even. I did by eyes because they're not style line. They're just going to be used to slash and open the fall of the collar. What's the most important is that you keep a 90-degree on both sides of the collar from the center back for a little distance. So now we're going to start the development of the collar. We'll start with the first piece here, and we're going to place it right on the original line. We're going to glue the second piece and make sure we have a 1 centimeter opening. Place it on the plan and continue with the other piece for a total of 3.8. And the last thing is to connect the openings and make the last verification with your ruler. Make sure you have the exact measurement you need, so my 12.3. So since the tailor collar is done in 2 different pieces, the top collar is going to be a little bit wider, usually about 3 millimeters wider, all the way parallel to nothing at the intersection of the collar and the lapel. So you should trace your 3 millimeters bigger. Then you will take 2 more paper and put them under. Okay, so when the top collar is also traced, we're going to go with the tracing ruler and trace both lines. So we have the 2 pieces that we retraced. Right now they're identical. I put 1 centimeter or my seam allowance all around for both pieces. I cut together. I'm even gonna notch the shoulder notch, both of them together. Now it's time to make the difference between the 2 of them. So I take 1 layer and I'm going to indicate that this is the top collar. For the top collar, we only have to remove the center back seam allowance. So we remove the seam allowance on the top collar and we put the pattern on fold. The grain line is going to be parallel to the center back. So to do the under collar, we're keeping the center back seam, and we're going to put the grain line 45 degrees from the center back. To do that grain line, we're going to do a square from center back. So if you decide it's 3 by 3, you do your little square 3 by 3. And you're going to connect two corners, opposite corner, and this is going to be your grain line. What you have left to do is to remove that excess of 3 millimeter. So you're just cutting it out. So the tailor collar is not finished until we do the lapel and the facing. So we could start by tracing a facing on the bodice, about 5 centimeters at the shoulder and 5 centimeters inside the bodice from the center front. Connect these two lines, and that's your facing line. Next thing is going to be to add that same little 3 millimeter or 5 millimeter for the facing that becomes the top part of the lapel. So 3 to 5 millimeter, to knotting at the intersection. So at this point you could trace another, put another paper under and trace with the tracing wheel your facing part. So I did trace with 2 layers of paper, one for the facing and one for the bodice, and I removed the extra 3 millimeter for the bodice, so I kept it only for the facing. The 3 important notches are the center front at the bottom, indicating the overlap, the breaking point, and the collar, so the beginning of the collar that you should place on both pieces, so notch it in the same time. So I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I see you next time.